Welcome to the family here on Purple Mafia. I am your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Owygen. Purple Mafia is available on all of your favorite podcasting apps. I thank each and every one of you once and always for downloading and listening to this show. It is a great pleasure to be back on board with you once again today. The Minnesota Vikings went to London and had a 17-point lead, only to watch it vanish once again. Similar to last week, not quite as bad, but a current Packers quarterback and a former Packer quarterback making a comeback despite having some very nasty, having some interceptions, multiple interception game. Aaron Rodgers' first 3 interception games since 2017, that is. But the Vikings escape the game with another strange score here. Final score of 23-17. The Vikings defeat the New York Jets and advance to 5-0 heading into the bye. Well, all right then. The Vikings are 5-0. A very back and forth, crazy battle and kind of annoying, but it is what it is. I mean, it's kind of a back and forth. That's kind of what, in a lot of ways, the year has been, except for the Houston Texans game, where it was a complete throttling and arguably the toughest opponent we were supposed to face. Okay, maybe it was San Francisco. Okay, maybe it was Green Bay. Okay, maybe it was the Jets. Nah, it wasn't the Jets. Aaron Rodgers definitely a mess early, but also frustrations with his receivers, a bit of back and forth. Andrew Van Ginkel, another pick six, his second of the season, taking the ball 60 yards to pay debt, as they might say. It was the first Vikings touchdown of the game, so a defensive touchdown. So congratulations to any fantasy ballers out there picking the Vikings defense, well, for the most part, even though there were some things given up in the game, but mostly because of turnovers offensively and some awful special teams play, not including the kickers, especially a certain place kicker who's been absolutely insanely good. Sam Darnold banged up again. Nick Mullins actually completed a 24-yard pass in relief of Sam Darnold. Darnold, a rough day overall, about 50% completion percentage, 14 of 31 attempts, 179 yards, and an interception. That was a terrible pass that put the Jets in position to possibly win the football game. That's right, put the Jets in position to possibly win the football game. Just an overall mess, weird game, really irritating to watch. A couple of plays that thankfully were not turnovers, like Powell originally touching the ball and going out of bounds. Another one, actually I'm getting him mixed up with Justin Jefferson losing the ball out of bounds. Thankfully that was actually not only out of bounds but considered an incomplete pass anyway, so that's good. The Powell play, which would have been a recovery by the Jets, Powell punted to Powell, calling for a fair catch, muffed the ball a lot like Jalen Naylor a couple of weeks ago. Last week. That was just last week against the Packers, wasn't it? Yeah, that was really annoying. In a game that was 28-0. And Vikings won by 2 points in a game that was 28-0. Yeah, it was wonderful. Well, this one was actually touched by a Jet before that, so that's why the ball got deflected in the wrong direction, so to speak, and Powell lost track of the ball because of that. So, okay, whatever. It is what it is. Thankfully, the Vikings were able to keep the ball there. Ryan Wright. Okay, so again, special teams though overall lousy. An overall lousy game with a bunch of stupid penalties, including a roughing the kicker versus a running into the kicker penalty. One is a 5-yarder, the other is an automatic first down and a 15-yarder against Ryan Pace Jr. Ivan Pace. Why am I saying Ryan? Ivan Pace Jr., number 0, who did get a sack in the game. So he had he made up for the mistake that he had made just previously, stacking Aaron Rodgers big time. So Rodgers was definitely pressured quite a bit in the game. The Vikings would get multiple sacks in the game, a total of 3, which definitely helped. Shaq Griffin, another very strong performance. I'm knocking the ball away and getting a couple of tackles, but generally speaking, it's not about the tackles with cornerbacks. It's about making the big plays. Harrison Smith had a safety blitz that ended up being a sack as well, and he did the belt celebration, I guess. So good for him. Definitely a way better game today than last week, because Harrison Smith certainly struggled against Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers receivers last week, generally speaking. But yes, you kind of knew this was going to be a tough battle. Whether it's going to be a defensive battle, despite the fact Aaron Rodgers happens to be the quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. He's also 40 years old. Attempted 54 passes because they were behind throughout the game, and I don't know for the most part anyway, not the whole game, but for the most part, the Jets' running game was held in check, averaging only about 2.5 yards a carry, which is awful. Ty Chandler was held to only 2.5 yards a carry, and he became more of the feature back in today's game. Jeez, I'm sorry. Proof that this game is being this segment's being recorded significantly earlier than normal. Sorry, it normally is. Yes, Ty Chandler had to be the feature back because Aaron Jones has an injured hip, and we'll see how that turns out. 14 rushes with a long of 5, 2.1 a carry. Ty Chandler was 2 yards in a cloud of dust for the most part, with 8 men in a box via the New York Jets defense. Their secondary is good. Their pass rush is good. Their overall defense is good. Robert Saleh, the first ever Lebanese coach in the NFL, head coach in the NFL, was a great defensive coordinator with San Francisco and is a great defensive coach, but not looked on necessarily as one of the better head coaches in the NFL. We'll see how that turns out. They almost won the game, though. Aaron Rodgers, early on, just out of sync with the receivers, and I don't know if it's just in general, he's just off because, again, still not really fully healthy because of off and on injuries, and of course last year's Achilles tendon can still affect a player. That's why basketball players take like 2 years to come back, which I think is excessive. But football players are just, it's just a different breed. Like Kirk Cousins and Aaron Rodgers coming back, neither one of them all that spectacular, generally speaking. And today, Aaron Rodgers went from 1 interception on the year to 3. So a huge jump there. Rodgers goes from 5 touchdowns and 1 interceptions to 7 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Again, a very dramatic difference. And again, out of sync and getting pissed off and frustrated with his receivers throughout the game, barking at Mike Williams and Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson would wind up with 13 catches, 22 targets as well. 22 targets to Garrett Wilson in the game. Yeah, absolutely crazy. So it could have been better. There's no doubt about that. This was definitely an ugly football game. Justin Jefferson effective early, targeted early. Jordan Addison targeted a bit at times. And, of course, some of the targets are throwaways. 14 targets, only 6 catches for Jay Jets, 92 yards, did not get in the end zone. Jordan Addison, J.A., same initials as your host, Joey Owajan. Yeah. 8 targets, 3 receptions. Johnny Munt had a massive 20-yard reception on the final scoring drive for the Vikings that would put us into victory formation. Well, it did not do that. Actually, the defense put the Vikings in victory formation, but it gave the Vikings a 2-score lead, so they didn't have to. So they couldn't count on Greg Zuerlein to kick them into OT and see what happens. Lucky bounce here and there, and the Jets defeat the Vikings in one way or another. And Will Reichard was obviously money. We'll get back to that in a second, but Sam Darnold very inaccurate in today's game. In fact, this was easily his worst game as a Minnesota Viking. He looked a lot similar to his days with the Carolina Panthers and New York Jets. He did not look like a purple Sam Darnold or a red and gold Sam Darnold. He looked like a purple. He looked like the New York Jets or Carolina. Sam Darnold probably closer to Carolina. Just the 1 interception. Like with the Jets, he'd have like 2 or 3 multi-interception games. He was pretty rough as a New York Jets quarterback, but so was Aaron Rodgers today. Again, he is going against the Brian Flores defense. A lot of people see him as the driving force to this team possibly going to the Super Bowl this year, the way they're going with a 5-0 record. Careful with saying that word, Super Bowl. But Aaron Jones did have a 24-yard catch and scamper, which was huge along the way. But again, the hip injury, things have not been the same, or the offense definitely sputtered along the way. Darnold, not sharp, generally speaking, but had that very, very, very clutch drive that unfortunately did not end in the end zone, but did end with a Will Reichard 41-yarder that ended up winning the game. Will Reichard also, though, hit on a 54-yarder and a 53-yarder, respectively, and, of course, made his extra points. Will Reichard, all 5 kicks. Is my math correct? Yes, all 5 kicks led to 11 points, which without Will Reichard, Vikings did not win this football game today. Absolutely great performance by Will Reichard. He is, a lot of people look at him as someone that would be a phenomenal, look at him as somebody that could be the best kicker in the league. So we'll see how that turns out long term, but very happy with Will Reichard's performance. Ryan Wright also attempted 4 punts, 46.3, 2 of them in the 20s, 0 touchbacks, and a long of 58. So the special teams sucked, but not including the kickers. The punter was, obviously Ryan Wright's pretty good, and Will Reichard is really, really, really good. Thomas Morstead, the former New Orleans Saint, remember that crazy play where he came out to, he had to just kind of be there so the Vikings could run their final play, just kneel down and end the game rather than go for the extra point on the walk-off touchdown victory. The Minneapolis Miracle, literally. That was Thomas Morstead, the Saints punter at the time. Good guy, definitely. Who had broken ribs and played through that game. And he was willing with his broken ribs to go out and just be somebody out there so the Vikings could run the final play and run the clock out. Kind of funny and sad at the same time. You feel bad for that dude, but, it is what it is. Thomas Morstead with the New York Jets. Apparently a very nice guy. So, Will McDonald IV, another stack. We've been hearing that name off and on throughout things. Isaiah Oliver, some big plays for the Jets. DJ Reed, some huge plays. The Jets definitely were trying to not take any prisoners, so to speak, with Justin Jefferson. They were clutching and grabbing and getting physical and all that kind of nonsense. Flag after flag after flag was thrown in this game on both sides of the ball. Pass interference, several pass interference penalties. Justin Jefferson basically had to be more of a decoy in this game with the way DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner were playing in this one. Sauce Gardner would also miss some time in this game with injury, but he would return late, and good for him. Was chirping a bit, and that's annoying, but he is a hell of a receiver. He's a hell of a cornerback, one of the best in the league. Lots of respect going his way, but just I don't know. I'm not a fan of trash talking a whole lot, but if it's innocent, like say Anthony Edwards of the Timberwolves can be at times, just kind of having fun with his hero, Kevin Durant, against the Phoenix Suns in the first round of the playoffs last year in the NBA. That was innocent. Some guy like John Moran who talks a lot of S, that was not cool. Richard Sherman talks a lot of SHIT as well. Pardon my French. Anyhow, sorry. I just saw Caleb Williams rush for a first down. Not bad. Bears and Panthers are on. Yeah, you got to remember who they're playing against, even though Andy Dalton is a lot more efficient right now for the Panthers than Bryce Young would like to be at the moment. Sorry. But yes, a very ugly game. The penalties were absolutely stupid in this one. Absolutely freaking horrible, as they might say in New York or East Coast or whatever. That's too much. Like, what did we get? 11 penalties in the game? Just freaking horrible. Yeah. 11 penalties in the game by the Vikings. Pass interference on one. Yeah, Stephon Gilmore got nailed for one, climbing up the receiver a bit late in the game, which kind of helped the Jets get closer to a chance to upset the Vikings here late. Pull off a 17-point comeback, kind of like the New Orleans Saints. That was a 17-point comeback as well. Thankfully, the Vikings escape in both cases. No Minneapolis Miracle or London Miracle necessary in this one, outside of Stephon Gilmore with his interception to wrap the game up. Great game by Stephon Gilmore, generally speaking. He was picked on a bit by the aforementioned Aaron Rodgers, but ultimately, again, a huge pass deflection and an interception to wrap things up. 6 total tackles, not always a good thing. That usually means the receiver caught the ball. Barry Murphy Jr., again, similar. He had a pass deflection, 5 tackles in the game. Blake Cashman had some nice moments. Josh Metellus also some big plays. Pat Jones getting to Mr. Pat Jones II, that is, getting to Aaron Rodgers, but did not get his 6th sack of the season today. Cam Bynum, an interception and a couple of huge pass deflections to help this thing head in the right direction. That was some big plays by Cam Bynum. He's definitely an honorable mention at the very least for the Fran Tarkenton Award for this show, as it's about a 99% chance it's going to be a defensive player in today's game because the offense was kind of a mess today. Darnold, again, reverting a bit, and again, a bit banged up. It's a game like this that imagine if you had a healthy J.J. McCarthy. Just imagine if you had a healthy J.J. McCarthy getting primed and ready to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. You get to 5-0, Darnold starts to sputter like this, and then you get to bring in J.J. McCarthy, who is primed and ready to take the reins of this franchise. Wouldn't that be cool? But hopefully Sam Darnold can continue to be clutch and do what he did, despite having an awful game, I'd say. I'd say it was his worst game as a Viking by far. To be clutch and get the Vikings well into field goal range, with ultimately Will Reichard getting the 41-yarder. Stupid penalties, though, throughout this game. Holding calls. You go from 1st and 10 to 1st and 20. Roughing the kicker. Holding on the holding on the return, or whatever. Illegal block on the back after you get one instead of a hold. It's like, illegal block in the back that was way after the play. It's like, what are you doing? Like, this is freaking stupid. So insanely frustrating. I believe Ty Chandler had a decent gain on that play. It was probably his best play of the game, and there was an illegal block in the back. Like, okay, that's great. There was also an awful bullcrap fumble. They apparently credit it to Sam Darnold, though it's Ty Chandler's fault. There's no doubt it's Ty Chandler's fault on the play. A pitch that Ty Chandler just kind of bounced up in the air, a la like a Kadri Ishmael, like not catching the ball. The ball just bounces up in the air, and the Jets end up making the recovery on that one and help put the Jets in position to do something. Luckily, the Vikings defense would hold strong, but still an awful flippant play, and that was insanely frustrating. It's just stuff like that. It's going to kill you. Like, you cannot do stuff like that and expect to get anywhere in this. In like a real playoff game, an NFC title or a Super Bowl. That kind of stuff absolutely must not happen. I know you're going to have an interception or something, but stuff like that. It's just a simple play, and you can't even handle the ball. It's just extremely frustrating. You could sense frustration throughout this game with Aaron Rodgers, again with receivers, plays that just simply weren't made as well. So there was a bit of that. It sucks. At the end of the day, again, Will Reichard was the main guy, though, with the big kicks. He ended up saving the day, to say the least. Trying to make sure I'm not forgetting certain things. But again, Stephon Gilmore with the game-clinching interception. Harrison Phillips getting another sack in the game, having a good game. Generally speaking for him, Ivan Pace Jr. with a sack. And yes, Harrison Smith is that safety blitz. Great play there. And you felt like $1 million. Andrew Van Ginkel with the pick six. It's crazy, though. He only had an assist in the game, Andrew Van Ginkel, but then had that pick six, which counts as a pass deflection. 63-yard return. So Andrew Van Ginkel cannot clinch a Fran Tarkington Award for this episode, but he's definitely due for one. Another big-time performance from Andrew Van Ginkel, and you feel so good. Yes, just generally speaking, an ugly game. That shouldn't have been as ugly as it was. It's frustrating watching this team give up leads, but again, holding strong and finishing off the game. I mean, that counts for something. It really does. It really does. Rather than say playing from behind or just kind of just a meh up and down performance like we had a lot in 2022, but luckily a lot of games turned out to be wins. But then here came the postseason against a mediocre Giants team, not Jets, and Vikings lost right away at home, which is crap, absolute crap. So we're hoping for a healthier Sam Darnold coming out of the break, a healthy Aaron Jones coming off the hip. That's going to be a big one. Going into the Detroit Lions game, that it will be a home game, a nooner, 2 weeks from now. So what was it, Sunday the 20th, I believe? Yes, Sunday the 20th, a nooner. Listen, the Detroit Lions, an opportunity to go 6-0 and all but clinch a division championship at that stage if you get that win at home. And I think the Viking fans are very, very optimistic in that one. It's going to be a hell of a battle. Definitely a different situation with Campbell as coach, Dan Campbell as head coach, versus what you had Matt Patricia before. I think the Vikings were undefeated versus Matt Patricia. Where Dan Campbell, we won once, and they've pretty much kicked our butts ever since. So, obviously, they improved, and the Vikings were lousy for a while there. Some back and forth battles, though, with Detroit. They've definitely been a headache for the Vikings to deal with. Matt Patricia was very easy to deal with for the most part. Things started terribly for the Detroit Lions. Dan Campbell, including the Vikings getting a miracle win on the road versus them, but then at home versus them, and then they pull off the miracle victory next game just a few weeks later. Remember that it was their first win in the Jared Goff, Dan Campbell era, which is a heck of a lot more promising. So now I'm talking about the Detroit Lions already, which is supposed to be in segment number 2. So I apologize for that. This game was not the best, definitely not the best, definitely not the most exciting, but Fran Tarkenton Award has to go to Will Reichard. Will Reichard bringing home the Fran Tarkenton Award for this one. An honorable mention, and obviously definitely a possible Fran Tarkenton Award is going to Stephon Gilmore for hanging strong in there and getting the job done. Stephon Gilmore, wonderful. Will Reichard, I think, gets the overall Tarkenton Award for today. The Christian Ponder Memorial, it could go to Ty Chandler in just an overall weak performance. Run blocking wasn't so good either in front of him, but overall weak performance and losing that pitch. But it also, I think, could go collectively to special teams without counting the kickers, of course. It could go to the general special teams. Like, they got to get it right. This kind of stuff has got to stop because, I mean, wouldn't that, I just don't even want to think about what could happen in the postseason if special teams keep screwing around and turning the ball over and such. And, of course, Darnold is an honorable mention for the Ponder, but he had that big drive late in the game, showing some clutch ability despite playing poorly. So that was huge, to say the least. Absolutely huge, to say the least. With that said, we're going to take a quick break and return to talk about next week's game. 2 weeks from now. There will be no show next week. It'll be a week off. Spoiler alert, that's coming anyway. But I'll be looking around the league and also looking at the Detroit Lions game 2 weeks from now. Of course, I'm going to preview it now and not next week. With that said, so we'll be right back after this. And we are back here on Purple Mafia, segment number 2. Time to look around the league and, of course, preview the Detroit Lions, the Detroit Football Lions. They're telling the truth, though. Yeah, okay, that was cute, wasn't it? Yes, and how about them Detroit Tigers getting out of the first round, making the playoffs for starters, getting past the Twins who utterly collapsed and used their hitting coach and a couple other coaches as scapegoats. Cute. But Detroit Tigers rolling into the second round, unfortunately losing game 1 to the Cleveland Indians / Guardians, 7-0 in game 1, but the Royals also losing to the Yankees. So would much rather see Detroit and Kansas City do something instead of the Yankees. But freaking Yankees or Dodgers, I don't want to see them win anything. Can't stand them. Well, I think you've heard enough about me can't standing this and can't standing that, but do you blame me? Thursday Night Football, Atlanta and Tampa Bay. Kirk Cousins. Well, he had one hell of a night, didn't he? Absolutely did. They scored first, did the Falcons. Kirk Cousins throwing his first of several touchdown passes to Drake London. And then Baker Mayfield had the Buccaneers ahead. This was kind of a back and forth, deep South battle between these rivals for many years. Atlanta and Tampa Bay, back and forth. Interesting, very entertaining battle. Back and forth. Baker Mayfield, of course, a former number 1 pick, and Kirk Cousins, one of the higher paid quarterbacks in football, which is saying a lot because quarterbacks make the most. Very high scoring shootout of a football game. Mayfield had the Bucks ahead 24-17 at the half. Young Shu Koo, again, rolls right off your tongue, who made a 54-yarder earlier, made a 48-yarder. Definitely one of the better kickers in the NFL. Got to say that. McLaughlin made a 32-yarder, so on and so forth. Young Shu Hu, another 52-yarder. McLaughlin, a 53-yarder. So it was a bit of a field goal war. Kirk Cousins, of course, again leading the team, the Falcons, down to the getting the Falcons just into field goal range because Young Shu Hu can make anything pretty much. kind of like a certain kicker here in Minnesota. Hear what I'm doing? Okay, well, anyhow, Cousins was able to lead the Falcons, who were trailing by 3 early in the third quarter, as the two teams would exchange, would get stopped multiple times along the way. But then Kirk Cousins would lead his team into field goal range. They'd tie it up going to OT, march down the field. And in the regular season, you can do that. You can just march down the field and the game is over. In the playoffs, it's different. The other team has another shot at scoring. I don't know. Why do that? Like, field goal, I understand that the other team should have another shot. But a touchdown, I think the game should be over in the playoffs. That's just me. I'm seeing something I don't like on TV, but you can just kind of guess. I don't know. Yeah, give me a break. Anyhow, we'll leave that alone. A 36-30 win by the Atlanta Falcons. Kirk Cousins goes absolutely bonkers. Baker Mayfield was extremely efficient. 19 of 24, 3 touchdowns, 180 yards, quarterback rating of 137.5. That's nothing to sneeze at. Kirk Cousins actually had a weaker quarterback rating of 114.8, if you can believe it. But it's because he attempted 58 passes to get there. 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, 42 completions for 509 yards. Yep, 509 yards for Kirk Cousins. Well, you might want to pick him up in free agency, maybe. Aaron Rodgers had kind of a crappy game, but we'll see. Believe it or not, he was a free agent in fantasy after a couple of crappy starts in a row. But I believe a lot of people signed Kirk Cousins after that Thursday night performance. Drake London, 12 catches, 154 yards, and a touchdown. Darnell Mooney, 9 catches, 105 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So that Atlanta offense flexing their muscles. And the Tampa offense wasn't too shabby either, to be quite honest. You even had a interception on Kirk Cousins in the game, but yeah, whatever. It was a shorty, but it was a goodie, I guess. It helped. That's what definitely helped hurt Kirk Cousins' chances. To be fair, Young Shu Koo did miss a couple field goal attempts, but none of them were easy. A heck of a kicker, generally speaking, but he did miss a couple kicks. Falcons win. Yes, it was a very epic Thursday night football game. In fact, one of the best Thursday night games you'll see ever. Oftentimes Thursday night games are one of the weaker games, but occasionally you'll get a pretty good gem mixed in. And I remember Thursday night football used to be like a late season thing. As the season was like wearing on, I remember being really excited, like Vikings versus Packers on Thursday night, like way back in the 90s and stuff. That was fun. A lot of fun. But then, now it's become more of a thing. Like, yeah, it's been a weekly thing, and I'm okay with it. It's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And so be it, Jedi. All right, well, there's your win. Bears and Carolina going to wait because the NFC North goes last. And, of course, our division opponent, our opponent next week, 2 weeks from now, is in the division. They will be playing the Dallas Cowboys next week. They were on the bye this week, so that's kind of the way it is. Unfortunately, they did not play this week. The Cowboys right now are supposed to be playing on Sunday Night Football. I'm not sure what's going on, actually. I don't know. Some kind of delay in Pittsburgh, I guess. They're supposed to be playing against the Pittsburgh Steelers, a rematch of the 95 Super Bowl. And I believe it was one of the 70 Super Bowls. Was it 76? Well, they played in the Super Bowl in the 70s. I know the Steelers definitely won that one. But the Cowboys did win the one in 95, much to our chagrin. I don't know. I don't like the Steelers nowadays too much. I haven't liked the Steelers for a long time. But, yeah, I don't know. I probably would have liked the Cowboys in the 70s. But definitely not in the 90s. No. I would have taken that 90s Steelers team any day over the frickin' Cowboys team. That annoyed everybody. Next, there I go, whining and ranting again. Unfortunately, in football, you don't get a point like you do in hockey. Yeah, Cincinnati went to overtime and lose to their division rival of Baltimore. 41-38 in an epic shootout. Great quarterback, great this, great that. But the Bengals lose again. They're down to 1-4. Starting to look like the Bengals of before Joe Burrow getting there, and really of last year with all the injuries and such. But they have a healthy Burrow and they still suck. So this is disappointing. Dang it! I picked the Bengals to win the Super Bowl this year. Do you realize that? Baltimore 41-38, 3-2. They're not even all that spectacular either, to be quite fair. And Cincinnati should have won this effing game. Pardon my French. They should have won the game. They're up by 10 with 9 minutes left. I know things can happen, and things happened all right. frickin' Ravens tied it up. Justin Tucker, 56-yarder to tie this sucker up. Justin Tucker, the sucker, 24-yard field goal, ultimately to win it. Now, that did not clinch the game or anything, but yes, it put the Baltimore Ravens ahead, and Cincinnati could not score to tie it or win it on their next drive. Baltimore defense taking care of business, despite the fact they did give up 38 points in the game, but an epic, epic game. Another shootout, kind of like the Thursday night game. Awesome stuff. Lamar Jackson, these are the kind of numbers you don't get to see a whole lot. He did rush the ball 12 times for 55 yards and did lose the fumble again. Like, gosh, do you ever stop fumbling? Cut it out. 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, 348 yards for Lamar Jackson. Epic. Joe Burrow, 39 attempts, 30 completions, 5 touchdowns, and there's your grape jelly stain. 1 interception. Doggone it. Jamar Chase, 193 yards, 2 touchdowns. Fantasy heaven right there for you. T. Higgins, also pretty damn good with 9 catches, 83 yards, and 2 touchdowns as well. Chase Brown would add a touchdown with his 8 yards throughout the game. Chase Brown, of course, the running back of Cincinnati, as they were definitely going for the aerial attack against the Falcons. Maybe, I don't know. I'm calling everybody the Falcons. I'm getting pissed off at myself right now. The Ravens. I called the Bengals the Falcons, and I called the Ravens the Falcons. Somebody get the Falcons out of my Falcon mind right now, because I'll be Falcon happy when that Falcon happens. Derek Falcon Henry with 90K, I know, with 92 yards, 51 of them were in one play. 1 touchdown for Mr. Derek Henry. Zay Flowers, this is for the Baltimore Ravens. Thank you very much. 111 yards and 7 catches. Let's keep moving, but an epic game, no doubt. Old bitter rivalry, and I know Tom Brady used to be frustrated playing against those Miami Dolphins back in the day. It's like a bunch of backups here, because you ain't going to be seeing Tua, and obviously Brady's long gone from New England. Jacoby Brissett's nothing that shabby, but he wasn't good today. Nah. Tyler Huntley, well, he's better than Skylar Thompson, I guess, but not by much. I guess he's better. Wasn't he with I just called him the Falcons again. The Ravens recently? Yeah, the Miami Falcons versus the New England Falcons. The National Falcon League. I think I should just call this show the Falcons. Falcon Mafia, too. Well, the Falcon is the fastest bird in the world. You know that, right? Uh-huh. Like, they can just dive bomb your boy. Tyler Huntley, 31 attempts, 18 completions, 194 yards, INT. No touchdowns. But Alec Ingold, on 1 rush, was able to score for Miami. Exciting. 1 rush. 1 rush in the entire game for Alec Ingold. Ingold was gold in the end zone. Yay. Well, they had to find it somewhere. They had to find gold somewhere, and they did. See what I did there? That was great, right? Jacoby Brissett was just grasping for straws the entire game. 34 attempts, 18 completions. Yay. Wonderful. Just wonderful. Ramondre Stevenson, 12 rushes, 89 yards, and a touchdown for the Patriotas. He was outstanding. To be quite fair, he's probably the best player in the game. Miami, boy, I don't know what to say anymore. Tyreek Hill, 69 yards. That's not that bad. At least he's getting something, but not getting in the end zone. I don't know, Jalen Waddell, another one. I mean, all those ultra-talented receivers, fantasy phenom type of guys, you know, but then Tua just can't stay healthy. It's against the rules. You know that, right? It's just against the rules. Tua refuses to stay healthy. Miami Dolphins beat the Patriots 15-10. Why am I even talking about this preseason game? Well, you know, the NFL, there's gold and there's garbage everywhere, like Jermaine Wiggins would say back in the day. Former Viking and Patriot, and Super Bowl champion with the Patriots from Boston. You never know what you're going to get in this business. You could get gold and you could get garbage. Well, you got garbage, but the Dolphins and the Patriots, garbage. I'm telling you, it's garbage. Garbage, absolute garbage. Washington Commanders, they used to be garbage. Now they might be the most exciting team in the NFL. They might be the biggest surprise in the league, and in fact, I think they are. I think, what was it, years ago when the Bears were like 13-3 or something? And it was like, damn, that was with Khalil Mack and everything. And then they lost in the first round to the Eagles. That was lame. I actually wanted the Bears to win that game because I don't hate the Bears, and I hated the Eagles at the time because the Eagles had just stomped all over the Vikings, and it was really annoying. So, Washington Commanders 34-13. Cleveland Browns are the brown bags now, and the Commanders are actually Commanders. They're not the corporals. No, they're the Commanders. They might even be the captains or the admirals or whatever. It's like, damn, they're good. Washington Commanders, and it's partially because of this young quarterback who went number 2 overall in the draft, actually panning out for the most part. And he didn't even have that great of a game. He was really good. He ran for 82 yards on 11 rushes. Didn't get in the end zone running. He also did throw for an interception and a touchdown. 14-25, not that great of a game, but still like 20 points in fantasy world. Deshaun Watson, I mean, what more can you say? Deshaun Watson and Jameis Winston are your quarterbacks in Cleveland. 2 guys that should be ultra-talented. Talent like oozing out of both of them. And you get 13 points. That's right, 13 points. 13 frickin' points. And giving up 34. I mean, what more can you say? Not much. I don't know, and I'm a man of probably too many words doing this show. I'm the host, the solo host, and I keep going and going and going like a motor mouth. But what the heck, man? Cleveland, what are you doing out there? Well, at least Dustin Hopkins made a few field goals, including one from 51 yards, and Deshaun Watson did throw a touchdown pass with 7 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter when they were trailing 34-6. All right, Deshaun, thank you. Thank you, Deshaun, for doing something. It's nice you could join us, Deshaun Watson. It's nice you could join us. Yeah. 34-13. And I was a huge Deshaun Watson fan. Huge. And I was actually kind of happy for Cleveland getting him. Like, all right, here we go. Baker Mayfield, what an annoying player. Just up and down, up and down, up and down. You throw for those yardage, he'd get a touchdown or two, and there's always that grape jelly stain on the jersey with, an interception. It was annoying. He would always be up and down. But he got them to the second round and almost beat the bleeping Chiefs in one of those playoff games. Deshaun Watson, making the playoffs would be quite an accomplishment at this stage. What a joke. What a joke. Cleveland Brown bags are they're brown bags with stuff in them. All you have to do is fill in the blank as to what is in those brown bags. It ain't dog food. It ain't leftovers. It's something else that dogs do. That's all we got to say. Next, Yowzers, Washington, man. Nice surprise, though. Epic. Yeah, I keep using the word epic, and that's probably annoying. I'm pretending I'm cool, I guess, for once. Yep, I'm not. I don't know what I am. But 34. What a nice surprise. Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Indianapolis Horseshoes versus the Shoehorns. That's all they really are. Something that gets trampled on by horses. That's what the Colts are. And they got trampled on by Jacksonville, finally winning a flipping game. Jacksonville wins and they're 1-4. Indianapolis loses and they're 2-3. Another golden garbage kind of game. This is another garbage type of performance. Trevor Lawrence finally doing something after I cut him. Yeah, 371 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the grape jelly stain interception. Always waiting there. It is always there. No matter what you say, it's always there. Come on, Trevor. Come on now. And unfortunately, the starting quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings also tends to have that grape jelly stain as well. He kind of does, but at least it's just like one play. Just one, and it doesn't kill the Vikings. And thankfully for Trevor Lawrence in this performance, it did not kill the Jacksonville Jaguars. Joe Flacco was awesome. 33 completions on 44 attempts. That's pretty good. What is it, like 75% basically? Yeah, it's 3/4. 359 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no grape jelly stain. No interception. Did he lose a fumble? Yes, he did. You son of a biscuit. Thank you. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe. You know the thing, Joe. The thing. You know the thing? That's a very deep inside joke. Some of you know what that's all about. The rest of you don't. 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. You know the thing. You know the thing. Well, yeah, there was the thing. He fumbled the ball, and ultimately the Jags getting the win. A 49-yard field goal. Cam Little was huge with that 49-yarder after the Colts were driving the field and winning or scoring some points there, scoring a touchdown after being down 34-20. So Jacksonville almost gave this sucker up at the end of the day. Trey Sermon rushed up the middle, and then Joe Flacco with a 65-yard touchdown to Matt Gay. Well, Matt Gay made the extra point anyway to Alec Pierce. Yay. But the Jaguars win their first game of the year. And the can't miss number 1 overall pick in the draft a few years back is, I don't know. I don't think he's getting better. I mean, today he did. Yeah, 5 games into the season. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. Glad you could join us. But still nowhere at Deshaun Watson's level, let me tell you. Houston versus the Buffalo Bills. What the heck? Well, Houston Texans still have only 1 loss on the year. And who was it to? That's right, Minnesota Vikings. And the Vikings pounded the Houston Texans in that game. Yeah. The Vikings pounded the Houston Texans in that game, and every other game the Vikings were on the verge of blowing the other team out, and they didn't. Just like today. Just like last week. Yeah. Just like San Francisco. Yeah, just like that. Only the New York Giants and the Texans, the Vikings really took care of. And even the Giants game, didn't we let them back in for a minute? No, we didn't. That one, we pounded them into the ground. Because those uniforms are just terrible. I like them. They look like the Montreal Canadiens. So, I like the Canadiens jerseys. What's your problem, damn it? I don't mind the Montreal Canadiens jerseys. And if it's a football jersey, it's not that bad. I don't know. I didn't mind it. But I guess I'm in the minority with everything. Josh Allen. Hello? Anybody there? 30 attempts. 9 completions. Hello? Anybody home, Josh? Anybody? Anyone? Yeah, Houston's defense is good. That's how impressive the Vikings offense was against the Houston Texans. 9 of 30? Are you serious? He did throw for a touchdown, but he was so inefficient, him being Josh Allen. His quarterback rating is 56.4. Your mom could probably get a higher quarterback rating. Oh, but he got his 54 yards on the ground and did not lose a fumble. But the Bills did not win the football game. And this was Stephon Diggs' first game against his former team, and he got 82 yards. Did not get in the end zone. So, oh well. Nico Collins did once, 1 catch, as did Cam Akers, former Viking, for 5 minutes before when we actually gave him the damn ball, and then he tore his Achilles, his other one. Damn it, poor Cam. Yeah, I was very sad about that actually at the time. It's like 1 week after Kirk Cousins tore his Achilles, Cam Akers. It's like, come on. We were finally using him a little bit against the team that's the NFL logo, the Falcons. Yeah, that game where Josh Dobbs was awesome and everybody thought he was this overlooked superstar. Oh, boy, did we look bad after that. Some of us. I can't believe I'm embarrassed about that one. He looked pretty good, though. But then we realized the guy can't hang on to the football for his life. No, he can't. But anyhow, the Texans get the win. Good for them. Kind of like, they drove the field late in the game after the Bills had got into field goal range, could not get in the end zone because the Texans' defense was that good and Josh Allen was awful. The Bills could not get in the end zone. In fact, the Bills trailed 20-3 at one point in this game, and then 20-10 and 20-17 as Buffalo Bills started showing some signs of life. Again, glad you could join us, Josh. And Tyler Bass ended up tying up the game with 3:21 left, but that's way too much time. Texans had a well-executed drive. Well, not really. They got close enough for Kalami Fairburn to make a 59-yarder, and the Houston Texans end up winning the game with 2 seconds left. They kind of had to. They were running out of time, and it's okay, we're going to go for it here. We're either going to win the game or go to OT because, and Fairburn made a 59-yarder, and the Texans the Texans move on to be 4-1. Still a contender there in the AFC, no doubt about that. 2 teams I wouldn't put 5 cents in being a contender. Somehow the Denver Broncos are 3-2. I don't know how. I have no idea. And the Vegas Raiders have been awful forever. I don't know. Oakland Athletics are joining them now in Vegas. Congratulations to baseball fans in Las Vegas, I suppose, as that is your third professional franchise since 2017 now to join Las Vegas. So it's been definitely been a trend. All that's left is the NBA now. The next expansion, if it ever happens. I mean, if any league could afford to expand, it's the NBA. And I don't know what they're freaking waiting for. Like, you guys are making more than anybody. Okay, the NFL is making more than anybody. But the NBA, like, their contracts are, like, ridiculous. Like, yeah. Anyhow, you could be like a regular all-star. Not a legend, just a regular all-star and be making $60 million a year. Sick. 34-18 victory for the Denver Broncos in this classic AFC West rivalry. I mean, that division has had so many spectacular, so many spectacular games in the past, going back into the 70s and 80s and up to today. Of course, neither one of these two teams are anything you'd really give a damn about at this stage, but Bo Nix did have a hell of a day. He truly did. Well, it's a lot better than 60 yards last week, Bo. Yeah, well, Denver knows Bo. Well, I guess he knew something today. He threw for a couple touchdowns, 206 yards. No interception and no fumble, and he also ran the ball in. 8 rushes for 9 yards. It's so exciting. It's very exciting. Aiden O'Connell was definitely no KOC. He was AOC. Ooh. I don't know what I think about that. Gardner Minshew, the second. 17 attempts, 12 completions. Man, the Raiders are awful. Ugh. Where's Derek Carr when you need him? The Raiders are just awful. You know, all they have going for them is Daniel Carlson. That's it. Like, what else do they have? Okay, they have Max Crosby. Sorry, he had 2 sacks in the game. Yes, Max Crosby is pretty damn good. And, yeah, they do have Max Crosby. But outside of Max Crosby and Daniel Carlson, the kicker, I don't know. Well, they have Amir Abdullah. Who now? Yeah, Amir Abdullah. Okay, A.J. Cole's maybe one of the better punters in the league. Great day today. 53.4. No touchbacks. Yeah, well, you better need a good punter there in Vegas because, I mean, you are gambling, baby, every time you throw the ball there. Gardner Minshew and AOC. Oof. AOC. Ugh. You know? Ugh. Anyhow, let's get off of that, please. 49ers and Arizona Cardinals, not Falcons this time. What is up with the 49ers and the frickin' Cincinnati Bengals? You know, it's that Super Bowl, just like the 49ers and the Patriots that I always wanted to see. I've always wanted to see San Francisco versus Cincinnati. It's never going to happen, is it? It's never going to happen. Neither one's going to get to the Super Bowl this year, are they? They might not even make the bleeping playoffs. 2-3. San Francisco can't even beat the Arizona Cardinals at home. They were beating them. It was a comfortable lead. Kind of comfortable. 20-10. That's something. 23-10. And you frickin' lose. You give up a couple TDs along the way. God. Okay, what am I talking about? I'm confused. Okay, that's why. Two-point conversion. I thought it would be a couple TDs. No. 2 field goals, a touchdown out of the 2-point conversion. Great. Kyler Murray was outstanding in the second half of this game for the most part. His overall numbers weren't that great, but 83 yards on the ground with a touchdown and then a touchdown and an interception. Brock Purdy, a couple of interceptions. That did not help. Lousy game, generally speaking, for Brock Purdy. He was irrelevant in this one. 35 attempts, 19 completions. Yuck. I mean, Brandon Ayuk, yeah, if only he could have had a catch for a touchdown. But he did have 147 yards on 8 catches total. Definitely looking there. Ayuk is on fire. And that was for sure in this one. Jordan Mason continues to be Mr. Tecmo Bowl, but he did lose a fumble. Come on, Jordan. Jordan Mason did lose a fumble. Brock Purdy with 2 interceptions. I mean, there's 3 turnovers right there. Easiest math in the world. And that doesn't help against an Arizona team that, obviously, Kyler Murray's, at least he's healthy and he's somewhat, focused. He's doing something right, kind of, I wouldn't want to let them up for air, but they did. The 49ers let them up for air. And, gosh, 49ers looked pretty damn good not that long ago. Looked extremely promising versus the Vikings at times, even though the Vikings looked like they're going to blow them right out of the frickin' U.S. Bank Stadium. And then now, weeks later here, they're losing to the frickin', I just don't understand. They're losing to the Arizona Cardinals. But I suppose, again, that's why you play the game, right? That's why you play the game. To give up 11 points. In fact, yep, a 14-0 second half by San Francisco. 14-0 half in favor of Arizona, I should say. Might be a better way of putting it. New York Giants beat the Seattle Seahawks. All right. Well, when all of us looked at Seattle, they're 3-0. Man, Seattle's 3-0. Just like us. Boy, they're good. Seattle's good. No, they're not. They lost to the Giants today at home. 29-20. Yeah. Seattle's a fraud. Just like the 2022 Vikings were, well, kind of. They kind of were. They kind of were. And a guy named Daniel Jones, Mr. Daniel Jones, you know what he should be? Daniel Jones should be Detective Daniel. Detective Daniel. That might be his new name. That might be a name I'm going to give Detective Daniel. You know why? Because he exposes frauds. And what did he do to Seattle today? Exposed a fraud right there. And he exposed us in 2022. I don't like saying that. That was embarrassing. It sucked. I wanted to kick the Giants' ass in 2022. There, you know, in that playoff game, but we lost, and we looked like frauds in that game, didn't we? Didn't we though? Just admit it. We did. Admit it. Daniel Jones, 34 attempts, 23 completions, 257. Old Detective Daniel, 2 touchdowns and no interceptions. Detective Daniel exposing frauds. Geno Smith, 40 attempts, 20 completions, 1 touchdown. He did not throw an interception and did not fumble the ball away. In fact, Geno Smith was pretty good out there. DK Metcalf lost a fumble. And the Giants played a good football game. Eric Gray also lost a fumble for the Giants. What's up with these receivers? I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. But, yeah, he's one of those in-between kind of guys that catches and runs. So, yes. Dexter Lawrence, yep, a name that's been mentioned. Possibly the Vikings to trade for, but that New York Giants defense was, my goodness, was Bill Belichick, their coordinator, and the big tuna, the head coach. Was it Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick leading the way again there in New York? My goodness, man. 3 sacks for Dexter Lawrence, a second, 2 sacks for DJ Davidson, a half sack for Thibodeau, Kayvon Thibodeau, sorry. Half sack for Raheem Nunez, Rutches, and Brian Burns, double B, getting the Giants to 7 sacks on the Seattle Sea Sparrows. They're not even chickens, they're sparrows. They got beat by the Giants. And, well, you know what? Detective Daniel exposed another fraud. Detective Daniel. Good job, Detective. Solved the case, Detective. Tyrone Tracy Jr. rolls right off your tongue with 18 rushes and 129 yards. Oof, no touchdowns. And unfortunately, the young stud there, Nailers. Not Jalen Nailers. What am I talking about? Hakeem? Yeah, Hakeem. Well, whatever. He's out, unfortunately. So, and see, that's what's insanely impressive here. Detective Daniel, man, was able to get Darius Slayton 8 catches, 122 yards, and a touchdown, even without their stud receiver, that big draft pick that they took instead of J.J. McCarthy, because they couldn't take J.J. McCarthy. Blocked punt didn't help either. That's a huge turnover, and I'm actually watching it happen right now. That actually put the Giants up. Seattle was trying to tie the game, and then you had the blocked punt. Yep, big play. I've heard that. I heard that hurts like absolute hell, by the way. But you're like literally taking one for the team when you block a punt. But big play by 19 Simmons there, and Detective Daniel exposing the Seahawks. Good job. Yeah, that was a big play. Yeah, the punt blocked. Yep. Jason Mayers attempted. Bryce Ford Wheaton returned it, but of course Simmons made the block. Number 19 for the Giants. Pretty good. Very impressive, actually. I don't feel so bad. Hakeem Neighbors. Yep, I don't feel so bad babbling on about that game, actually, because that's kind of cool. It's impressive. It's an impressive win for the Giants. Good for them, after what we did, after the way we just rolled all over them and all that, and people saying people are going to get fired there. I don't know. I'd rather see Jones do well, honestly. I would. I would. Anyhow, and thank you, Giants, for not taking J.J. McCarthy. Fortunately, the poor guy tore his freaking, in a preseason game when looking like so promising. Oh, boy. Green Bay Packers versus the Los Angeles Rams. About 20 years ago, Brett Favre versus Kurt Warner. Some epic battles, epic matchups. That 2001 season. What a fun football season that was, except for the Vikings. Packers were real good. The Rams were insanely good. And then the Patriots emerged as this great underdog. And then, people come out later that it was Spygate and all that. I don't know. Whatever it was, But this was a good matchup. I believe this was a divisional round matchup back then. Stafford and Jordan Love both throwing interceptions in the game. Love was a little bit better at the end of the day. A little bit better. 2 touchdowns, 95.7. Josh Jacobs did get in the end zone. Kind of a Bill Cowish performance, I guess you could say. 19 rushes, 73 yards. Not spectacular, but it's something. Kyron Williams was outstanding. 22 rushes, 102 yards, and got in the end zone, but he lost a freaking fumble. Come on, man. And the receiving situation there in L.A., I mean, we're talking 3rd and 4th, 5th receivers out there. But they did well, to be fair. Tutu Atwell, 6 catches, 58 yards. Jordan Whittington, nice one. 7 catches, 89 yards. Rams played pretty well at the end of the day, but the Green Bay Packers victorious, and the Rams, as good as they've looked, generally speaking, they've looked pretty dangerous. They've looked tough, like against Detroit and other teams. And against Green Bay today, they looked okay. But that 0-point third quarter and 14-0 in favor of Green Bay was the difference maker, to say the least. And the Rams lose. They're 1-4 on the year. Green Bay Packers 3-2, hanging in there. Thankfully, already a win by Minnesota over the Packers. I'm not anticipating a repeat of last year where the Vikings looked good against the Green Bay Packers in Green Bay, Lambeau Field. Well, they see Kirk Cousins tear his Achilles there, which is really depressing. But then, like New Year's Eve, we get absolutely we look like we didn't even belong in the same universe as the Packers. That's how bad it was. Vikings did look like they didn't even belong in the same universe as Green Bay. It was so embarrassing. Ugh. God, that was bad. Anyhow, the Packers were definitely a threat going into the postseason as well. So the Chicago Bears trouncing all over those Carolina Panthers. Chicago Bears, don't look now. They're 3-2. The Bears are 3-2 after some mediocre performances when they just couldn't do anything against the Texans. And again, that was our next week opponent. The Vikings made, what's his name, look like Caleb Williams against the Houston defense. Vikings defense made C.J. Stroud look like that. Caleb Williams is starting to come into his own a little bit. And you know what? Good job, man. Good job. 29 attempts, 20 completions, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Andy Dalton wasn't real good. Honestly, he really wasn't. And Bryce Young was able to re-enter the game. He re-enter 7 attempts, 4 completions, 58 yards. Well, he had a better quarterback rating than Andy Dalton. The Bears defense kicked his butt. DeAndre Swift, Bell Cowish, kind of 3.5 yards a carry, 21 rushes, 73 yards, and a touchdown. Rashawn Johnson with 2 touchdowns on 25 yards and 10 rushes. But he got in the end zone. DJ Moore was outstanding. 5 catches, 105 yards with 2 touchdowns. Good for him. And the Bears, strong. Cairo Santos, he missed an extra point. Come on, man. What's up with that? Eddie Pinero, he missed a kick as well. What the heck? What are you doing, man? What are you doing? Anyhow, only 1 sack by Charles Harris on Caleb Young. Bears would have 4 sacks in the game. Good job, guys. So, Bears would have 4 sacks in the football game. Obviously, you're beating up on a crappy team, but you know what? You beat up a crappy team. You didn't mess around. Credit to the Chicago Bears. They kicked their butts, 36-10. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what a young, improving team is supposed to do. Is beat the crap out of a crappy team. Make sense? Yes, it does, actually. It's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to F around and then, we got a game. We have a game. Yeah, against the Carolina Panthers. That's great. Boy, I just love having a game against the Carolina Panthers. That's just, boy, does that make you feel warm and fuzzy inside. No, it doesn't. It's absolute bullcrap. So Detroit is off this week, as we all know. They are still, I think, the biggest threat in this division for the Minnesota Vikings to hope to make the, not only make the postseason, but to, go very, very, very far. Detroit is in sole possession of second place. There isn't a losing team in this division right now. The Bears are 3-2. The Packers are 3-2. The Lions are 3-1. The Vikings are 5-0. Best division in football? Well, yeah, it's the best division in the NFC. Absolutely. How about them Bears, man? Buffalo, yeah, they're 3-2 and they're winning their division. The Jets are 2 and da-da-da. Miami, yuck. Pittsburgh's 3-1. That's pretty lousy division when you consider it should be the best division, I think. I think all 4 of those teams should be somewhat competitive in the AFC North, but AFC South, it's like 1, and everyone else can, get their golf bags ready by about Halloween. Yeah, pretty much. Same thing in the AFC West. Get your golf bags ready. I don't care if Denver's 3-2. That's the ugliest, lamest 3-2 I've ever seen. Garbage, man. Garbage. But when you have garbage like the Las Vegas Raiders, yeah, you're going to be ahead in some of these. So Houston has given up more points. Yeah, that's because of the Viking game. Because they haven't scored a lot of points this year. They really haven't. Like today, what was it, 23-20? They're down 12. They're leading their division to the 4-1 record, and they are minus 12 in the net point. That's kind of funny. Who's got the number 1 net point? In the AFC, it is the Buffalo Bills, and they're only 3-2, so that doesn't always mean much. Vikings are 63. Yeah, that's what I thought. Number 1 in the league. New Orleans is number 2, which again doesn't say diddly squat in my opinion. And they're on the bye. Wow, they're on the bye because they beat the crap out of a couple teams at the beginning of the year. Carolina's minus 82. Okay, look at me wasting time here. Sorry. Detroit football. Detroit Lions, passing yards, 6th, rushing yards, 6th, total yards per game, 4th. One of the best offenses in the NFL, ladies and gentlemen. They definitely are. I'm always curious about defense because it's good to know. Dang it, I'd like to see something here. I apologize, I'm just screwing around now. I'm not seeing what I want to. No. I just want to see something, but I'm not seeing it. If you could just see the team. Yep, team season stats. So in yards per game allowed. And again, this is after 4 games. Detroit is, well, they're pretty good. Yep. Am I looking at this correctly? No, it's not in order properly. Here we go. Detroit's not oh, yeah. This is the wrong thing. Defense, you idiot. It's offense. Yeah, their offense is really good. It's 4th. Detroit's defense. Points. They have given up only 20.5. They're fairly stingy. Yeah, Chicago is even better, 18.8. Minnesota is one of the best in all football, 14.8. That's great. Detroit defense. Oh, their overall defense is what? We're actually going into this week. Minnesota was actually giving up 0.3 yards more, but I suppose, yeah, a lot of chunk plays. It's kind of annoying. We have the second best run defense in football leading into today's game, and believe me, Breece Hall didn't help the Jets today. They actually had less. Vikings are giving up 75 yards a game on defense. Detroit 90.8, and that's 4th in the league. Wow, so Detroit 4th in the league. Luckily, again, Aaron Jones will hopefully have time to heal. I don't know why this game is so late. What's the deal? Why is there a delay? I don't know. I haven't been... Oh, because I was away, and obviously this game isn't like that important for this show. But it's 8:34, and it's 11 minutes away from kickoff. Confusing. Detroit, yeah, you can definitely pass on them. They're 4th in the league. And if you can believe it, the Vikings do have the worst pass defense in the NFL right now. In terms of yardage. That's not everything. So it is just funny. And the amount of yardage we've given up, Detroit is the 4th worst. The Vikings are worst in the league and giving up passing yards. That's kind of annoying. Minnesota's number one in the league with interceptions, and that's coming into today's game. We had 3 more today, so that's 11 on the year. Go us. Interception, touchdown. That would be pick sixes, of course. Well, what the heck? Didn't we have more than one? Okay, I guess we did only have one, and we got another one today. Yay. Forced fumbles. Detroit has 3. Minnesota has 2. Yeah, it's real exciting. Defensive touchdowns. Atlanta's the only team with 2 until today. What the heck? I'm so confused by some of that. Minnesota has the most pass deflections, so we've given up a bunch of yards, but we have deflected passes quite a bit. We're number 1 in the league coming into today's game. And it's Detroit. Detroit, anyone? Glad you could join us? I don't see them. So okay, they're 4th. My bad. And then sacks. Yeah, Vikings number 1 in the league in sacks. But today, I don't think, how many did we have today? Like 3. Detroit is like in the middle with only 11. Vikings had 17 coming in. So Detroit's defense is capable of being a pain in the butt to deal with. Obviously, the run defense is outstanding. So expect a bit of an aerial attack. I got to think you're going to expect something like triple-digit numbers from Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. I got to think it's going to be a huge factor. Because, heck, we're a very pass-happy team anyway. And Aaron Jones, we'll see how his health is going. The running game did not work all so hot today versus the Jets. Though, again, they are one of the best defenses in the league. So it's to be expected. Detroit, yep, very, very strong run defense. Way up there. What am I looking at? Yeah, they're 4th. Minnesota's 2nd. Detroit's 4th. That's what I thought. Baltimore's number 1. And they run a lot, too. So it's kind of like a classic Mike Zimmer almost like right there in a way. But, they definitely are stopping the run there in Detroit. I mean, not that great. 90.8 isn't spectacular. But 75 and 57, that's Minnesota and Baltimore right there. So I think the Vikings can absolutely beat Detroit. And there's Dan Campbell right there in an Applebee's commercial. That's cute. Why would I doubt the Vikings right now? It helps that the Vikings are at home. Hopefully Aaron Jones can come back healthy. Sam Darnold, he's been insanely clutch. Even when he hasn't played particularly well, he comes up big in the clutch, and the defense comes up big in the clutch, which happened, like last year, that's what didn't happen ever, was the defense coming up big in the clutch, and sure as bleep, the quarterback play didn't, especially when Kirk Cousins, after Kirk Cousins had torn his Achilles. You had a couple of great, spectacular moments from Josh Dobbs, and that faded away very quickly. That magic wand didn't have a lot of magic points in it, and once it ran out, it was done. Whereas Nick Mullins threw for a bunch of yards, was kind of exciting, but then he'd throw so many interceptions, you'd be crying, basically. It was annoying beyond belief. Because, he was literally a riverboat gambler out there, was Nick Mullins. But, see, Darnold, he's capable of having a really weird play or two a game. Hopefully that doesn't kill you. But then he comes up in the clutch. And I've been insanely impressed with what Sam Darnold has been doing, as he did it again today, despite playing like dog crap. Detroit has won 3 in a row. The overall series between the Vikings and Detroit, the Vikings have dominated. But again, in the 70s, it was like 1,000,000,000. 80, 43, and 2 historically between these clubs. I'm always curious when I see ties. Now, of course, these teams go way, way back to 1961. We've been in the same division the whole time. There was a tie in 1964, 23-23 in Detroit. And the next one was at Met Stadium, 10-10. Oof. As the Vikings defense was starting to get better. November 12, 1967. The previous tie was on, what is the 22nd? That's JFK. Yes, I think I remember talking about this in the past. 1 year after JFK was assassinated. November 22nd, 1964. 1 year anniversary. It was like, okay, we're going to tie. But the Vikings obviously had some dominant performances. Even in the 80s, they won 7 in a row over Detroit. 70s, the Vikings pretty much dominated, like absolutely nuts. There was a stretch from 68 until 74. The Vikings were undefeated. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14 in a row. Yep, 7 years, 14 in a row. I should have been able to do that simple math. Was there ever a time where Detroit dominated? Yes, there kind of was. The early 90s, Detroit was pretty good for a while, 3 in a row, and there was a stretch of, 5 out of 7. Detroit won. Vikings' massive winning streak from 2002. I was at that game when the Vikings beat Joey Harrington on October 13th. We finally got our first win in the Mike Tice era. Jimmy clinch after getting a touchdown somewhere along the lines. And the Vikings beat the Detroit Lions. Tice getting his first win as the Vikings coach after a terrible start. Horse crap start. Joey Harrington and the Detroit Lions in the Metrodome. Big win streak that ended with an overtime loss in 2007. And the Vikings would have another win streak and then have a 3-game losing streak in 2011-ish. Kind of back and forth, back and forth. The Matt Patricia era, the Vikings were undefeated. Yep, Matt Patricia era, that was fun. Vikings undefeated versus Matt Patricia. Sweep of was it 3 years in a row there. And in the Dan Campbell era, it's been definitely different. Vikings had that miracle win over a Dan Campbell-led team that couldn't win a frickin' game. He was trying to do a Mike Tice, finally get a win, and they lost. And then all those several weeks later, Detroit Lions finally won a frickin' game. Poor guys. Detroit Lions were 1-10-1. They tied earlier in the year. Couldn't get the win. They finally won their first game. Jared Goff finding, that's who it was, Amon-Ra St. Brown in the end zone. At the very last play of the game, a game-winning touchdown pass, trailing 27-23. Detroit wins the game on the final play, and that was when it was like that totally figures. The Vikings dropped to 5-7, and Zimmer was definitely nearing the end at that stage. The Vikings would beat the Lions, and it's the last time the Vikings had beaten Dan Campbell on September 25th, 2022, in U.S. Bank Stadium. That's the last time we've beaten Dan Campbell. They have 3 wins in a row, including last year's outstanding Detroit team that clearly has become something. Whereas the year before, they missed the playoffs by a narrow margin in 22. But the 23 Lions look absolutely great, and we'll see what happens there. I've gone on and on here about some things I shouldn't need to. I've got to talk about the current teams and such. Obviously, Detroit, there's a talent there that is definitely obvious. Jared Goff is a quarterback that's more than capable of doing damage. The overall gamble, riverboat gambler approach by Dan Campbell can sometimes hurt the team, but generally speaking, it's generally worked. He's been a pretty darn good coach for the Detroit Lions. It's just a different ball game. Unfortunately, people have gotten injured playing against this team, which is really annoying, including T.J. Hawkinson, and I believe, who was it, the Rams? Yeah, I can't remember who it was last year. Kittle. Didn't Kittle get hurt playing against them? Or was it somebody else? I can't remember now. It was someone else. Completely blanking. An important player, though. I can't remember. I'm blanking. But the stupid injuries, sometimes the bad things happen. So far, Jared Goff, not as good as last year. And Detroit, to me, doesn't look as tough as they did last year. No. They are 3-1, but they've been barely winning games. Jared Goff has 4 interceptions to only 5 touchdowns. Quarterback rating of 95.3. Running backs, they have a duo there in Jamar Gibbs and David Montgomery. So it's kind of that's fairly impressive. 285 for Gibbs, 271 for Montgomery. Gibbs is averaging 5.3 a carry with 3 touchdowns. Montgomery 4.3 a carry with 4 touchdowns. Not spectacular yardage, but good. It's been a nice duo. Jamison Williams with 2 touchdown receptions on 289 yards. He's definitely had some big plays, an average of 22.2 a catch when it comes to Jamison Williams. Amon-Ra St. Brown, a couple of touchdowns, 252 yards for him. So he's got something. Sam Laporta, he was hurt. I remember a lot of people were, it was a Detroit player. It was Sam Laporta. So it is just kind of ironic how crazy things can happen. It just kind of figures. Kirby Joseph. So it was kind of like, I guess, karma against Detroit. But thankfully for them, Laporta was able to stay healthy for the most part and helped Detroit get to a conference final that they could not hold on to at the end of the day. Aiden Hutchinson, yeah, he's a stud. 6.5 sacks on the year. He's definitely been a pain in the butt. So he's somebody to worry about when you talk about pass rush from the Detroit Lions. The rest of them, I mean, the number 2 guy only has a sack and a half, and Levi Onwuzurike. Pardon me, I'm mispronouncing it royally, but at least Aiden Hutchinson, 6.5. I suppose it's been pouring there. That's what's going on when it comes to the Steelers and the Cowboys. It's in Pittsburgh, so that was the problem. It had been pouring, and it's like, okay, we can't start when it's like this. People are gonna have ACLs and stuff, so it's not worth it. No, so that's what the problem was. I had a feeling it had to be weather related somehow. So anyhow, I think the Vikings will beat this Detroit team. I don't think they're as good as last year. I really don't. They do get interceptions. They're fifth in the league with 4. That's not that sexy. All I had to do was look at this. Stupid of me. Yeah, everything's right here. 9th in points against, total yards against, 21st. Yeah, see? Passing yards, they're 29th, so the Vikings can definitely pass. I do expect an aerial attack. 300 plus yards for Darnold, 3 touchdowns, but he'll probably have a grape jelly stain somewhere in there, I'm guessing. But we'll have to wait and see. But the Vikings will win the football game. Final score, 31-24. Vikings win 31-24 over the Detroit Lions 2 weeks from now. And there it is, 6-0 Minnesota coming out of the break. What do you think of that? We'll take a quick break and hit the fan interaction after this. And we are back here on Purple Mafia segment number 3. This one shouldn't be as long as the last one. I apologize if I felt like it was dragging a bit. I'm sorry, I just got a little bit too much there. So my apologies if that last segment was too long. Fan interaction right away. At Purple Mafia Show. At Purple Mafia Show is the Twitter account, or X account, leading off with Tanae Brown. Sharing a couple of shows here. Pardon me, and this means a lot to me. It really does. Timberwolves Explosion and Purple Mafia Show. It was saying ready for the night shift, where it said episode 434, Purple Mafia Stop Scaring Us, and Timberwolves Explosion, episode 405 extra, Timberwolves trading Cat to Knicks. So yeah, pretty fun. Really appreciate that. It means a lot to me tonight coming out of New Zealand there. Awesome guy. Turbo Mafia Hall of Famer, of course. Dave Vicky was saying this game is pissing me off. Giving Rodgers extra time because of roughing the punter. Yeah, can you imagine how frustrating that was? That's one of the reasons why the game was close. Mad Martin was there, and that is really cool. He says this game is so frustrating. It's showing the image there. And the game looks like he had awesome seats too. Like right there. Wow, you gotta love that. Dave Vicky was saying we need a touchdown right now. Continuing saying, Dave Hickey's from Iowa, by the way. Mad Martin from Northern Scotland. Dave Hickey saying, I know you can see the momentum shifting, especially after roughing the punter. Yep. The defense got a big stop. They're punting from the end zone, saying the offense up at the 40. We got to have a TD. Nope, Darnold missed wide open Addison. But big leg Bill kicking us to a 20-10 lead in the 4th. And yes, that was huge. Oh, big leg Bill was awesome. Wasn't he? Next one. Plus, he's my fantasy kicker, 12 points, and I got the Vikings defense 19 points, currently with 11 left in the game. We got to have one more stop from the defense because they left it open for that whiny little Rodgers, and he's going to put together a drive to beat us by 1. Thankfully, that didn't happen. Oh, that was close. Ooh, that was close. Oh. Today it says replying to people. I wonder what's going on. Legendary Vikings defensive back Harrison Smith is the 4th player in NFL history to have a combined 1,000 plus combined tackles, 35 plus interceptions and 20 plus sacks. Yep, so he got that 20 sacks there. Smith joins 3 Hall of Famers, Brian Dawkins, Charles Woodson, and Rondé Barber. Harrison Smith, future Hall of Famer. And now I think, yeah, I think so. He had a not so good week last week against Green Bay. But yeah, I mean, the combined numbers, yeah, I think that does put him in the Hall of Fame after all. For a while there, I was thinking he was more borderline. I think Harrison Smith gets in. Yep, Harrison Smith gets in. When you look at that, so great catch there tonight. Thank you for sharing that. That was awesome. He was sharing it from, who was it again? ML Football. ML Football. Okay, well, that's cool. Maybe give them a follow? Yes, I should. They have quite a few followers, too. Tanae's definitely one of those, for sure. Thank you, Tanae, for sharing that. I appreciate that. Yep, yes, I agree that Harrison Smith, yeah, he should be in the Hall of Fame. Ever seeing that, especially. That's pretty crazy. Facebook page, well, just look up Purple Mafia Show, Minnesota Vikings Show. Hopefully you can find it. And there should be a link in the show notes, show description, whatever. And, yeah, you can always message me on Facebook, Joey Awajian. That is my name on Facebook. And if you need me to send you a link or something to join the Facebook page, there it is. Otherwise, at Purple Mafia Show on Twitter. Similarly on Instagram, which I'll be checking here momentarily. Maybe I'll check first before I get to the Facebook page. Because there is, yes, a Purple Mafia Instagram. I just want to make absolutely sure if there's anything there, because why not? It'd be nice to hear from some people. Is there anything? That was the Green Bay game. I don't think I got, yeah, I didn't get to this one in time. That's the thing. So Strike Force, that would be Mark Carlson. I don't always get to listen to the Pro Mafia Show when I drive through Minnesota. Oh, but today I do. Thank you, Joey. Yep. Okay. I did hear that. I did read that one last week. But, yep, thank you very much. I'm going to hear from Mark a bit today. No in-game thread conversation. It is always on Instagram. It's always there. And the post-game thread is also on Instagram, just like last year. But apparently people have gone back to Facebook or nothing, or Twitter. But yes, Instagram is there. So Instagram, it is always going to be there. The in-game thread and the post-game thread are always going to be there, and you're more than welcome to comment on the Instagram. I very much enjoy having that account. I do. I'm very happy to have it. It has saved my butt last year, that's for sure. So, yeah, Mark Carlson shared an image from his vehicle there. There's Purple Mafia Show playing in the background. That is so cool on the screen. Don't leave home without it. Thank you so much, Mark. That is awesome. I love that. Stop Scaring Us. Yep, that's what I had showed it. Oh, okay, that was the same one. Yep. I was saying how today's game, if today's game was outside in Huntington Bank Stadium, there would be a lot of running because of the wind. Yeah, I was like imagining all the interceptions and missed field goals today if the Vikings were playing in Huntington Bank Stadium, which was, of course, TCF Bank Stadium at the time. Continuing. Mike Dale from the state of New York, not the city. Darnold and the offense are completely misfiring since the second quarter. He was saying shades of Ed Donashell with his prevent BS with a slight lead. Andrew Van Ginkel picked 6 again. And he was saying he's an absolute revelation. That'd be Van Ginkel, the hammer. Yep, and then Stephon Gilmore, who wrapped things up. That was awesome. So, yep. Say about Mike Dale, I do believe he's got a post-game thought, and there it is. Yes, there it is. There it is. There it is. Yep, Mike Dale, without even having to read it yet, gold star. Okay, let's go. That is a gorgeous one. He says, "Woo, exhale. I really can't comprehend how in the name of Cinderella's glass platform stripper heels, the team is now 5-0. Unreal. Again, though, it's a bit perturbing how this team goes completely AWOL for the third quarter of every game." That's an interesting thought right there, as we'll pause for a second. They have, haven't they? Continuing. The offense themselves went AWOL for the entire second half. Again, sounds like last week, doesn't it? And the San Francisco game, for the most part, until that clutch drive. Anyhow, thankfully, they did enough to at least get Will Reichard into field goal range and keep the Jets at arm's length scoreboard-wise. I really hope Aaron Jones' hip injury is nothing serious and will be healed up in 2 weeks after the bye. And yep, thank God for that. Reason being is the running game, and most notably Ty Chandler, were pretty toothless after Jones' untimely exit. Yeah, Chandler has been kind of disappointing this year, hasn't he? I think he's on the list of disappointments of the year so far for this team, because there aren't a whole lot of them, and I think Ty Chandler's on the list. He hasn't been real good. Anyhow, it seemed as soon as Jones left the game, Donald was a bit flustered with the advent of the running game sputtering into complete oblivion. Thank you, Ty Chandler. I included that part. He started to display shades of his former maligned past self, inaccurate passing and interceptions. That said, I'm glad the Vikings held on for the win via Stephon Gilmore's timely interception. Yep, that big play by the defense that wraps the game up. It's that closing play that you're always just praying to God is going to happen. That interception, that sack, the fumble recovery. Please, Lord, let it happen. That interception that wraps it up, and then out comes victory formation. Anyhow, here we go. The pros and the cons. Pros, Andrew Van Ginkel with another solid pick six. With another pick six. He didn't say solid. The guy has been absolutely fantastic since joining the Vikings. Kudos to Kwesi for bringing him and Gilmore, who had a good game, including the game-sealing interception, bringing them in. Cam Bynum, yes, he did. Cam Bynum also had a great game with a pick of his own. Jay Jets had a solid game as usual, though wasn't as prominent in the second half, along with the entire offense. Yep, one would assume how Jay Jets and Aaron Jones go. The offense goes. Continuing. What does that mean? Continue. Yep, the offense goes. Yep. Cons. Well, here we go. That said, Darnold was a bit off today. However, we've seen how he has operated in earlier games when both Jefferson and Addison were out. Let's just hope that remember that 49er game? That he just had an off day. That said, the absolute worst performer was Ty Chandler. Yeah, he was pretty lousy with his overall futility, as well as that stupid fumble drop pitch. He definitely gets the Christian Bond Memorial Award. Yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards that too. Like leaning towards moving it over there. Who did I give it to today? Was it him? Was it Ty Chandler? I hope I did give it to him, but now I'm blanking. Oh, I was like special teams. Yeah, well, it's kind of a combination of Ty Chandler and the special teams generally. Yeah, that's what it was. It was like a general thing like that. Maybe that's kind of lame, though, on my part. Yeah. Yes. We know that he's capable. We know what he's capable of, and hopefully this is just a blip. That said, with Jones possibly out, I wouldn't want him as the starting feature tailback, as he seems like he might turn into Alexander Madison Mark II. If it's just him and Gaskin. As for the Fran Tarkenton Will Reichard gets an entire paragraph to himself. This guy is pure filth, like in a good way, right? Hitting all of his field goals, including 2 from 54 and 52, respectively, since his arrival. The rookie has been absolutely lights out and kicking out of his skin. Such a solid pickup, and is quickly establishing himself as one of the most accurate kickers in the league, with a monstrously powerful leg. Kwesi looks to have uncovered another gem with drafting him. Yep, one last bit here. So, 5-0 going into the bye. Someone pinch me. This is such a pleasant surprise and completely unexpected. There are a few wrinkles and concerns with them. Having a proclivity, sorry, I don't know why I didn't get that right away, a proclivity towards sputtering in the second halves of most of their games, yeah. But hopefully they can remedy these concerns. They are probably going to need to address these said concerns before the next game against the Lions, because they will probably need to take a full 4-quarter effort in order to best them. Till then, a big 5-0 and skull. Yep. Mike Dale, gold star. That was odd. Oh, I've been waiting for one of those. Well, that was so nice. I really enjoy that. I've been told in the past, because this is not about me, by the way, but I've been told in the past I'm a good writer. That's one of my strengths. So when I see something like this, I absolutely appreciate it. I mean, I can absolutely appreciate good writing, and Mike Dale is a good writer, absolutely a good writer. So, and I really enjoy going through that with him. It's awesome, you know. We're both kind of similar that way in terms of like, you know, I can see he we both like, you know, he like I'm able to read it and put the emotions together. That's the whole point. That's why this is fun. That's why that's why I enjoy it so much, because it's so well written and it's fun for both of us to kind of connect that way. So Mike Dale, we have a connection there in a lot of ways, and I think it's great. Yeah, I think you were saying on Instagram it would have been a pain in the ass to do last year. Like I remember you actually still did a few of them, but it sounds like it got on your nerves. But now you're back on Facebook for that, so. And you're more than welcome to have small posts on Facebook or on Instagram if you want to post on there sometimes. But Facebook, it is. You know, this seems to be maybe the best fit for you. If it's more comfortable to write here, so be it. And I really appreciated that. That was awesome. You know, I mean, you get a master. This is one of the great Purple Mafia people right here. You know, just like Mad Martin, Tanae Brown, Mark Carlson, Dave Hickey. Absolutely right there. Dave Hickey. Silver star, strong, gold-plated silver star. Really, you know, absolutely. Tanae with those posts, you know, sharing that post. That really actually brought a really interesting stat. Tanae and Mark Carlson bringing in the bronze. I mean, you guys are just, you know, legends. I really appreciate all of you. Yeah, I can say that a million times. If I have 50 people posting or 4 or 5, if it's 4 or 5, I hope it's you guys. I really do. I mean that. I mean, you are the elite of the elite. I hope it's you guys. Seriously, the Mad Martins, Mike Dale, Mark Carlson, Dave Hickey, Tanae Brown, and of course Gerald Sring. Gerald Sring. Yep, Gerald Sring. He is absolutely in that elite group. Gerald Sring. You know, salt of the earth. Well, with that said, we're heading into the heart of October now. Hope you're enjoying it. It's going to be bye week. Maybe that's why I'm a little bit longer-winded today, because it's bye week and getting it all out, getting everything out of my system, I guess, in a lot of ways. Because we're going to be heading into the fall color season now for real. Like the peak fall colors are finally coming around. Those beautiful sugar maples and those rarer, interesting red maples. Don't get them confused with autumn blaze. Autumn blaze are fine, but red maples are better in my opinion. And sugar maple are gorgeous, fun. Those are like my favorite fall leaves. It's like maple this, maple that for the most part. Silver maple not as interesting, but still nice. They can be messy though, because it's like a billion leaves. Oak leaves, oh boy, they're a mess. They're gorgeous, but they're a mess. Oak trees in general. But yes, we're in that fall peak. Go out and enjoy those fall colors. Apparently, here in the Midwest, it's going to still, the upper Midwest that is, it's going to be fairly warm here for the most part. Today was kind of chilly and windy, but that's how it comes. When one way or another, it's either going to be cold and windy or very warm and windy when you have hurricanes and all that. Pittsburgh might have been getting it might have been like aftermath of Hurricane Helene, who did like historic damage in parts of the country. Or it was just a lot of rain. It was kind of, again, like an aftermath of it in a lot of ways in Pittsburgh, and that might have been part of the cause of that late start here to the game. There's one foggy, nasty, humid mess on the field. Ugh, gross. Anyhow, with that said, just want to thank all of you so much. I really do. Anybody out there listening, if you could put a positive rating on the Apple Podcasts or Spotify or any other app that allows you to rate the show, if you could do that, please do. I need the algorithms. This show needs the algorithms. Sharing the show on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I really appreciate you. Those of you that have done that. Anybody that can, please do. Really helps the show. Need the algorithms. Need to get out there. Also, maybe I'll have a interesting announcement coming up soon. We'll see. I might. Let's just say I'm trying for something. We'll see. Otherwise, thank all of you very much, and we'll see you in 2 weeks, because that's going to be the next show. As for calling in, don't forget to be able to do that. I mean, yeah, you're free to be able to do that anytime. Hey, audio submission, pick up your smart device, look for the free voice recording app on there, press record, treat it like a phone call, and when you're done, share it/email to paladinolive@yahoo.com. paladinolive@yahoo.com. I will then be able to convert it into an MP3 file thanks to cloudconvert.com, who I am more than welcome to give a free plug because of the free service and the help they give to this show. With that said, thank you again. We'll see you in 2 weeks, and Skol Vikings.